So one of the things that I've been trying to do on every single podcast that I've been on is really talk about some of the things that we can do to reduce trauma now and be preventative. Because as you're talking, Michael, and you're telling me, about the impact on your son, the impact on people who are confronting COVID, who have it, who got it, and then potentially gave it to their family members, and the guilt. And you're seeing maybe some potential PTSD or at least trauma. So one of the things that I have been asking people to do is, and something really important, is that to take a step back, and one of the things we need to do is stop with negative self-talk. So in relation to the things you hear, because everything that we're hearing on the news, everything that we're hearing, and we already know that it's a unique situation. And if you notice, when we came on, I said a unique situation. I didn't say crisis. I didn't say crazy. I didn't say, I'm trying to really step away from those words, because those words are really feeding our ego and our soul in relation to how we're going to live with this situation, the long-term trauma potentially. And what I'd like to see right now is some prevention in relation to reducing long-term or chronic trauma, because we're already in the phase of acute trauma right here, where we're talking about, what we're in the trenches, so to speak, right? They're calling it a war, right? So they're naming these things right now that are kind of creating us to be here in regards to our angst. It's a war. We're up every night. We know this. Right. And once you hear this from media over and over and over, it was kind of like 9/11, where you'd see those pictures come at you over and over. And so what is that doing? What is that doing?
It's leaving an imprint on our heart and our emotions, correct?
Yep. So, and it's also creating a brain map. I call it a brain map. It's not the technical term of brain mapping when you see the images, but it's creating a brain map in relation to what were those thoughts, and those, what we're telling ourselves, what we're feeding ourselves, are going to be imprinted, as you said, Michael. They're going to be imprinted in your brain, imprinted in your soul, imprinted in your heart. And so let's do away with some of those things. Let's stop feeding ourselves. Limit yourself regarding how much news you watch. Yes, be informed. How much media you watch. Yes, I'd like people to be informed, but look at the data, look at the research. So 3 of the tips that I use is, 1, look at the data. Make sure I'm looking at, what is actually in front of me, what's actually happening. Number 2, am I overgeneralizing this? Am I looking at one little piece of, in regards to what if everything's going to go wrong? So I definitely wanted to look at the entire picture so that I had a clear idea of, should a tornado hit, what am I going to do? What is the preparation? How can I take care of myself and my family? So get some real solid ideas of what you're going to do. So if your family gets, impacted by COVID.
So building like a spiritual firewall?
Yes, exactly. But also some tangible and practical things that you can put into place in relation to being prepared.
Right.
And am I looking at things or a situation objectively? What am I, am I saying what if, and making overly generalized statements like everything's going to go wrong? It's always like this, and stop feeding ourselves. So what do you do? So in regards to those broad and general statements, you throw them out in relation to the what ifs, no what ifs, throw those out too. So, these are the things that
correct?
Say again, Michael?
They're fear-based.
Yeah, we don't want to be fear-based. We want to, be research-based, detail-based. We want facts. We want to be fact-based. And I know that's hard for a lot of people, because a lot of us, we're human. We want to be, we're driven by our emotions a lot of the times. And sometimes we just have to take a step back and say, what's going on here? And I know when you're in the trenches, so to speak, like your son, it's difficult, and he has to have this balance. And then where does he go? Where does he go, and what does he do in relation to talking about it and expressing his feelings? Because if he's dealing with death day in, day out, How does he talk about that, Michael?
You know, what I try to do is every day I put in positivity. I use the word optimist, stoic. I use faith-based. I always tell them those axioms. I use fear is the little dark room where negatives are developed. I tell them that if we act out of positivity, Colin Powell said that positivity is a force multiplier. I love that term. And so trying to keep those words that trigger us emotionally in a positive state, that's great advice, Dr. Summer. Really great advice.
Thank you for joining us in the Barracks. To learn more about our hosts, guests, and how to support V.E.T.S Mobile Dental Unit, visit www.inthebarracks.org.